Ok, donc bonjour, bienvenue. Aujourd'hui, c'est le mercredi 26 mai. Donc voilà les objectifs. Ce sont les mêmes qu'hier, les mêmes objectifs. Un échauffement, les expressions du passé composé, le lièvre et la tortue. On va commencer à lire une petite histoire en français. Donc pour l'échauffement, est-ce que tu préfères aller de Madison à Minneapolis? Donc imagine que tu fais un voyage de Madison à Minneapolis. Est-ce que tu préfères aller en train, en voiture, en avion ou en bus? Et pourquoi? Donc, vous pouvez le dire, vous pouvez, you can take yourself off mute if you want to, or you can put in the chat. Je préfère aller parce que c'est... Et on peut utiliser des expressions comme c'est simple, c'est confortable. Oui. Super. Donc, en général, vous avez préféré aller en avion, et puis aller en train est confortable, ouais. But our trains are pretty slow here in the US. So we're less inclined to take the train. Ouais, d'accord, ok. Donc, regardons les expressions. Donc, hier, je vous ai parlé de ces expressions. Avant la pandémie, ma mère est allée au Japon, nous avons étudié au lycée et j'ai dîné au restaurant. Donc, ça, c'est avant la pandémie. L'été dernier, Madame Punzel a fait un pique-nique. Elle a beaucoup travaillé au jardin et, je ne sais pas, Madame Punzel et ses amis ont nagé au lac. Je ne sais pas. Okay? Elles ont nagé au lac. Hier, tu as lu un texte en français. Hier, vous avez dit au revoir. Hier, vous avez mangé un sandwich au déjeuner. So before I introduce this final expression, which I'm excited about, what do all these have in common? What tense are we talking in? Is this past, present, or future? Wait, okay, so all these expressions are really specifically happening in the past. And it's really clear, right? It's really clear that it started and ended in the past. So here, let's try to guess at what this one means. Il y a un an, nous avons voyagé en avion. Il y a un an, j'ai pensé que la pandémie allait durer 6 mois. Il y a un an, il y a 2 ans, vous avez commencé les études de français. Yes, we identified. Okay, il y a un an, 1 year ago. Il y a 2 ans, 2 years ago, right? So il y a, you've been using, until now, you've been using it for there is, there are. Okay, it still works for that. It still works that way. But if you're saying il y a and then a period of time, you're saying ago, right? So il y a un an, il y a 2 ans, il y a 10 ans, il y a un jour, il y a une semaine, okay? You're talking about the past, all right? Donc, il y a 2 ans, vous avez commencé les études de français. Y'all started learning French 2 years ago. How about this one? The second one might be kind of tricky. Let's try the first one. Il y a un an, nous avons voyagé en avion. What do you think that one means? Okay, so yeah, so we talked about il y a un an, so a year ago, and how il y a means there is, there are. But here, if you're saying il y a and then a period of time, it's that much time ago. So, il y a un an, j'ai pensé que la pandémie allait durer 6 mois. We had some super big brains in the chat, folks who were able to pick up on, oh yeah, okay, and they were able to put the pieces together. A year ago, I thought the pandemic was going to last 6 months. I was wrong. Okay. So now let's take a look at our objectives for today. And let's think about, I can complete a sentence starting with hier, ce weekend, or il y a. So what I'd like you to do now is to take a moment and try to really think about something that you did or that you thought. J'ai pensé, j'ai voyagé, I traveled, je ne sais pas, hein? Je suis allé, right? Dans le chat, terminez une phrase. So go ahead and pick one of these. Avant la pandémie, hier, or il y a un an. you can say something different from un an, right? But you're just using il y a. Maybe you want to say il y a 2 ans, right? Just before you came to high school, right? When you're just finishing up middle school. 2 years ago, you were wrapping up middle school, right? So what I'd love to do is I'd love to see everybody. I don't have any illusions. I have a feeling I won't hear from everybody, but I'd love to hear from everybody with finishing one of these. So take a moment and try to think about what you want to say, and I can help you in the chat too. If you have questions, if you want to know how to say something. But I want you to try to think, okay, il y a un an, I'd love to hear folks use that. You don't have to, but I'd love to hear folks use that. Il y a 2 ans, il y a 3 ans. J'ai... Okay, bien. I heard from a few people. Good job, good job. Okay, le lièvre et la tortue. Okay, so please take a moment to open up your activity packet. Hopefully you've been adding some vocabulary. Maybe you've decided to add hier, il y a un an, avant la pandémie. Maybe you've decided to add those to the vocabulaire. Right? Hopefully you filled this out yesterday. And let's go down to this one, and we're going to work on that a little bit. So I'll give you a moment to open up the activity packet. Okay, so when we're telling a story in any language, it's important that telling a story usually takes place in the past tense, right? Unless it's science fiction, it could take place in the future or something. Not only is timing important, a story can often be defined by what happens when, right? So it's not just important, but sometimes the whole point of the story is that this thing happened before this other thing, right? So for those of you who like Star Wars, it matters that Luke Skywalker meets Obi-Wan Kenobi before he meets Darth Vader, right? Can somebody break that down for us, just for those who aren't super familiar with it? All right. So on the next slide, there's going to be a series of images telling the story of the tortoise and the hare. And this is a link to the story in English, if you're not familiar with it, okay? And so I'm not going to go through the story, but I look forward to talking with you about it once we've gone through this exercise. What I'd like you to do now is using your activity packet. You've got a bunch of images and they're out of order, okay? What you want to do is you want to put these images and you can drag them. It's not super easy on the iPad, but it's doable. You can drag them from place to place. And I want you to put them in order. And once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and put the story in order, all right? But first things first, let's go ahead and do this part, all right? So take 3 minutes or so to do this. It shouldn't take too long. And if you don't know the story, you can click on this link in your activity packet to see a quick version of the story. Okay, so you go ahead and you've finished that. All right, so you've finished putting these in order. I look forward to seeing your answers. Now that you've put these in order, let's take the sentence fragments. So there are fragments, okay? And these are the same thing where you're gonna have to click and drag them, right? You're gonna have to click and drag kind of like before with the images. And notice the words d'abord, ensuite, enfin, après. What do you think they mean? Okay, so it's going to be the same thing where you're clicking and dragging these different yellow boxes to put them in order. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but I believe in y'all. You can do it. So these are out of order. So you want to put them in order. And before I let you go to work on this, d'abord, ensuite, après, et puis, ensuite, enfin. What do you think these words might mean?
Are they like first?
Okay, so we've established d'abord, first, ensuite, après, et puis ensuite, kind of mean and then, afterwards, and then, enfin, finally. So what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag these yellow boxes into the correct spot because they're out of order. And then we'll go ahead and go over them tomorrow. So let's take 3 minutes to do that right now to get started, and then I'll ask you to finish this for homework tomorrow. So take 3 minutes and then we'll come back and wrap up for the day. Okay, so y'all have started organizing those different sentences, right? And we'll go over those tomorrow, okay? So we'll see some of those sentences in the different orders tomorrow. We'll kind of break that down. For le lièvre et la tortue. And we'll talk a little bit about the story too. Okay, so today here we are, mercredi 26 mai. This is where we're at. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about Le Lièvre et la Tortue. We're going to kind of wrap up our work with that just a little bit, talk about le passé composé a little bit, talk about être et avoir. And then we're going to lead into starting to kind of wrap up this unit. It's kind of a shorter unit and the semester. We do have classes the following week, I think like 2 days or something. And I want to spend that time catching up. So if you are missing work, I really want to encourage you to start thinking about catching up right now so that it's not the last week and you're thinking about catching up. All right, so for tomorrow, please go ahead and finish up the work with the tortoise and the hare, le lièvre et la tortue. I'll talk to you all a little bit more about it. Otherwise, I'll say au revoir et à demain.